the government is passing, and how this bill could potentially be a threat to Americans. This is a very recent conversation from episode 2218 with Sam Tripoli.
Did you see this thing that the Biden administration pushed through, this new martial law thing?
Yeah.
This is very disturbing. Giving the Pentagon power for the first time in history to use lethal force to kill Americans on U.S. soil who protest government policies.
What are they expecting?
That is a terrifying thing to push through for the first time in U.S. history, giving the military the ability to shoot and kill American citizens.
That's crazy, too.
The conspiracy surrounding this bill is that the government passed it with an elaborate plan in mind. This plan being that the government creates artificial problems so that they can provide the people with a solution. These solutions being ones of control and forceful order. Whilst this law just passed recently, I did some intense digging and found Joe Rogan and Sam Tripoli talking about this exact thing over 11 years ago from episode 398.
Through history, we've seen people who are profiled by agencies, Frank Sinatra, Martin Luther King, who weren't necessarily doing anything wrong, but they were being monitored. It's like you don't have to do something wrong to be monitored.
Well, that's the J. Edgar Hoover days, and before that, of course, the McCarthyism. But the McCarthy era is a classic example of people being persecuted and people being singled out, and people being spied upon and categorized these dangerous and divisive groups. That kind of behavior is unconstitutional for a reason.
Rogan dives into the possibility of false flag events and how the government uses these to get more control. Remember, this episode was over 11 years ago.
And they will create false flags, and through those false flags, these events will cause them to clamp down more on security.
Which is so interesting, right?
It's ridiculous, but it's true. They will create artificial problems so that they will have a solution. Create a problem, propose a solution, get what you want. What do you want? We want to be able to control people. We want an Orwellian society. How do we go about doing it? Well, we're going to have a threat, and you have to have this threat. Let's call it terrorism. Terrorism is a good threat because it's so undefined. It's not like we conquer one nation and our terrorism problem is over. It continues forever.
This is a controversial idea to many, but Rogan goes on to challenge that, saying that people who don't believe this conspiracy theory just aren't paying attention. Instead, he claims that this is exactly what was happening even back then.
And for people who think that's some tinfoil hat conspiracy bullshit, you're really not paying attention. Because it's happened. It's happened over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, even if you talk about conspiracy theories with some people, they can't even begin to understand because they're looking at it through their point of view.
And as Sam Tripoli theorizes, the government has even begun employing mercenaries in order to achieve some of their goals.
I mean, it's basic human behavior.
And if you can get it through the guise of war, it's really easy to get things done. And now they have mercenaries. I mean, during the Bush administration, they started using mercenaries for the first time in God knows how long, man. Openly using, like, Blackwater and all these other companies go and do a bunch of shit.
I met those dudes in Afghanistan.
I know some of those dudes.
They go on to say that the government doesn't care how many people die, because constant conflict will make people forget.
Where a bunch of people died. I mean, whether it's 100, 200, 3,000, 5,000, whatever, it doesn't matter in the bigger picture of everything.
Yeah, and they also know that time will continue to roll on, more conflicts will arise, and people forget about it.
Constant state of war.
With this in mind, let's go back to episode 2218, where Rogan and Tripoli are discussing the new government bill that gives the Pentagon power for the first time in history to use lethal force to kill Americans on US soil who protest government policies.
We should have a movement to stop domestic terrorism, but when you have agent provocateurs who infiltrate these organizations and then turn them into terrorist organizations so that they can go in and shut these protest organizations down, that's when things get dirty. And that seems like that's what happened.
Or even pushing whatever event they want to happen, kind of convincing, hey guys, maybe we should go try and do this. This governor's causing some crazy.
What Rogan is about to bring up here is the Michigan plot that took place years ago, where 14 men were caught trying to kidnap the governor of Michigan. But according to Rogan and some leaked sources, 12 of the 14 men were actually federal agents.
12 out of the 14 people were working with the FBI. 12 out of 14, these two losers who got roped into it. And then there's that kid, the 19-year-old kid who they talked into detonating that fake bomb. You know that kid?
Yeah.
I believe that was in Dallas. So they take this young, stupid kid and they radicalize him, and then they give him a cell phone and tell him, press these buttons and that bomb will go off. They give him the fake bomb doesn't work, he does it, and they're like, we got you. Yeah. Like, wait, use your idea.
This same conspiracy was explored once more before the bill got passed, this time exploring the government's involvement in chemical spills and even shooting. This is from episode 1728 with Ari Shafir, Shane Gillis, and Mark Normand.
So, what's his name told me a weird one last night. He was like, the main food sources in the entire world is Ukraine and the Midwest.
Really?
He's like, now there's a chemical fucking spill in the Midwest.
Sometimes when I see a lot of stories about the same thing, chemical spill, nuclear stuff, it's like, I feel like they're prepping us for some level of like, hey, we're going to change the laws on this. And we're just getting everybody ready. Like gun control.
That's what's scary, right?
Every shooting at a Seattle bar, they start telling you about all of them.
Interesting.
And like, they're coming with something.
That could be. It could be something. Well, there's definitely been times in history where they've done things like that, like where they've blown things up on purpose. Just Nero burnt Rome.
Oh, yeah.
Like they do false flags to get people to like panic.